All right, welcome to the West 84 Public Outreach Meeting. My name is Cody Patella with the City of Waco Public Works Department. We would have loved to have had this in person, but due to the safety and health concerns of the citizens and our staff, we are using this virtual format instead. So thank you for joining this virtual meeting. I'd like to start off with an introduction for Councilmember Jim Holmes. He's going to give some opening remarks.
Thank you, Cody. First of all, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I know this is a little bit different format than what we're used to, so I appreciate your flexibility and kind of doing a virtual meeting like here. We had a lot of important topics kind of banking up here, so we wanted to make sure we got them out into the public. So I appreciate your patience and your cooperation here in this format. I'm always impressed by the involvement and participation of the Highway 84, West Highway 84 Neighborhood Association. A great active neighborhood association. We have leadership of that association here tonight. Nathan Embry is with us here in City Hall. So I'm happy that he's here. Got a lot of projects here that we're going to be talking about tonight. My wife Cindy and I went out to Harris Creek grocery store yesterday, had the cheeseburger basket, which is very excellent. And we saw all the new things going on out there. The overpass is open and looking great. Still need some striping there, but TxDOT has moved right along on that project. A lot of new street servicing that we'll be talking about tonight. Some Oak Street issues that we're going to be looking at. And just everything is, the growth out there is tremendous and great neighborhoods. And we're committed to getting city services, the best in class city services out there. Again, a lot of topics we're going to be talking about tonight, from water to sewer to streets to parks. And I'm going to turn it back over to city staff here. So, Cody.
Thank you, Councilmember Holmes. So just a few more introductions. I would like to introduce Bradley Ford, the incoming city manager, Paul Kane, assistant city manager, Ryan Holt, assistant city manager, and again, Nathan Embry with the neighborhood, West 84 Neighborhood Association president. So for this meeting, if you look to the bottom of the Zoom meeting, you'll see a Q&A option on the toolbar. If you click on that Q&A, you'll be able to submit questions, and as we receive those questions, we'll compile those and ask those during each presentation. If at any point you feel like we didn't provide enough clarification, or if you have any follow-up questions, please reach back out to city staff. We'll provide some more contact information at the end of the presentation. So for the purpose of this West 84 neighborhood meeting, we're trying to give an update of the upcoming projects. Okay, thank you. Of the upcoming projects in this area. As you can see, with the future potential growth we have in this area, there's a lot of activity going on to meet those demands. So you'll hear some of that tonight of what's intended to meet the future growth as well as meet the current demand and provide a better quality of life in the area. So with all the previous projects that have gone on, the construction projects and some of the upcoming projects, the City of Waco will be investing up to $25 million in infrastructure improvements for this area, again, to meet that current demand and for future growth. So again, down at the bottom, there's a Q&A option. So as we're going through these, ask questions about these projects, and we'll get those questions out there and try to get those answers. And if not, we'll follow back up and provide some more information. So a few of the projects we'll be talking about today, we have the Highway 84 corridor wastewater system. This also includes the Harris Creek street improvements, Cotton Belt trail improvements, utilities improvements, the Oak Road street improvements, the Trailblazer Park improvements, and the US 84 Spiegelville overpass. So for the first presentation, I'll introduce Lisa Tyrus with the City of Waco, Director of Utilities, sorry. And then she's accompanied by Kyle Schultz with Walker Partners.
So good evening, Lisa Tyer, Director of Water Utility Services. And I just want to start off a little bit out of order, but I want to mention that tomorrow water utility crews will be out prepping the repair site for the bridge section of the Cotton Belt Trail, which the street department will then come in and repair next week. It's unlikely that trail will be available at the bridge, that it will be accessible to anyone next week. We expect the trail to be open no later than July 1st, and it's likely that it will be open earlier than that. So the City of Waco Water Utility Department has several sewer projects in the Highway 84 corridor, and we've divided these projects in phases. The first phase was completed 20 years ago. The current group of projects total an estimated $20 million in construction value for sewer improvements in the Highway 84 corridor. And phase 3 projects, which I'm going to talk about first because we have one of those projects already in construction. So phase 3 projects are gravity sewer lines in the Highway 84 corridor that extend from Old Lorena Road to Val Verde Road. Project 3A is from Harris Creek Road to Val Verde. It is in construction. The sewer line is deep there, 20 plus feet in places, and it will impact use of Harris Creek Road. And we're estimating this project will go from about August of 2020 to June of 2021. Project 3B is from Harris Creek Road to Old Lorena Road, and this will impact the Cotton Belt Trail. Construction is estimated to begin this winter with about 12 months for completion. Project 3C is the Harris Creek Road to Woodhaven Trail, and this construction is expected to begin the spring of 2021 with about 12 months for completion. Phase 2 projects consist of a new sewer force main that conveys sewage from Old Lorena Road through 2 lift stations to Ritchie Road. The length of the project is so long we had to break this into 2 phases. So phase 2A is from Old Lorena Road to the existing city landfill. Construction is expected to begin this fall with 12 months for completion. There will be just a tiny bit of impact to the Cotton Belt Trail near the landfill. Phase 2B is from the current landfill to Ritchie Road, and that construction is expected to begin this winter with about 12 months for completion. And those are the projects that are going to be occurring in the next 12 to 18 months in the Highway 84 corridor for utilities. We do have some other planned or completing projects. One of them is a joint city water line. So the cities of Waco, Woodway, and McGregor joined together and built a 16-inch water line from the city of McGregor's pump station to the Cotton Belt Trail, Cotton Belt Parkway. And this line can provide up to 1 million gallons of water a day from Lake Belton, with another 1 million gallons a day possibly. And that line will be complete this summer. And then the Haley Hill Wastewater Treatment Plant. We need to complete the current list of projects that we have going on. We need an opportunity to evaluate the impact of those projects, and then we'll be developing a potential timeline for the Haley Hill Wastewater Treatment Plant. And then one of the questions that someone has asked us is about wastewater on Church Road. Right now, we don't currently have any plans to put lines, water or wastewater lines down Church Road. However, that's just the plan as of right now. Those plans are always subject to change. And I'm going to turn this over to Carl Schultz, who will give more in-depth information on these projects.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I'm Kyle Schultz with Walker Partners, and we've been working with CDM Smith in conjunction with the City of Waco to design these projects and bring those to implementation. So just to give you a little bit more detail on some of these projects, the first project is phase 3A, and that is what is under construction currently. And just this exhibit here on the screen will give you an idea of the limits of that project. It's a 24-inch gravity wastewater following the green alignment up Harris Creek Road along 84 to the upstream limits at Val Verde. The contractor is BlackRock Construction. Total construction cost is $4.8 million. They have started on the McGregor Airport property and are starting to lay that sewer line along Highway 84. After completion of the portion on the McGregor Airport to Val Verde Road, the crews will begin work at the southern end of Harris Creek Road. The 24-inch wastewater line will be replacing an existing 10-inch wastewater line that is located under the pavement. As Lisa mentioned, it will be 15 to 20 feet deep in some places. So it's really important for the city to work, and they will be working closely with the contractor to make sure it's a safe work environment at all times. The road, due to the depth of the trench, will be closed off in sections as the work progresses up the roadway. The contractor will be implementing a traffic control plan to have adequate signage and direction to direct motorists to alternate routes to their homes instead of the main thoroughfare down Harris Creek. The sewer line will be put in first, and after the sewer line is put in, the red outline just kind of shows the limits of the Harris Creek Road street reconstruction. The pavement is in poor condition now, and with the construction of the wastewater line, the road will be completely rebuilt. It will be new lime stabilized base, 8 inches of base above that, and then a 2-inch course of hot mix asphalt. So it will be a very nice street upon completion. And as Lisa mentioned, there will be an impact along Harris Creek Road from late August to approximately May. So about a 9-month impact along Harris Creek Road.
And residents will have access to their houses though.
Moving on to the next exhibit.
What's that one called again?
That was called Phase 3A.
Phase 3.
So we did receive one question. When will Harris Creek Road be impacted, and what would the duration of construction be?
The current schedule we have from the contractor shows work to begin at the downstream end of Harris Creek Road in the late August, early September timeframe. And it's estimated that would continue until May to June of 2021 with sewer and street reconstruction ongoing.
But it's not the whole street, it's just,
It will,
just sections.
yes,
One section at
Yes.
a time.
the whole street will not be closed off.
The whole street
from
will
end
not.
to end. So expanding on that project's still shown in green on this exhibit here, but Phase 3B and 3C that Lisa mentioned is shown in the purple line here. This is a 27-inch gravity interceptor from Old Lorena Road all the way to Harris Creek, and then a 21-inch gravity wastewater line up past Stone Creek to the Trails of Oak Ridge subdivision. That project is still in design and will be later this year, winter of this year. There will be an impact to the Cotton Belt Trail from Old Lorena Road all the way to Harris Creek Road during construction. And that impact will likely be in the 8 to 9 month range on that project. And
For
that
8 to 9 months or in 8 to 9?
8 to 9 months duration.
Duration.
Yes, sir.
Of the impact.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. And that project will be similar to Harris Creek. It will be replacing an existing line that did not have adequate capacity to continue providing quality wastewater and capacity for future development. Phase 2A is the black line, and also the 2 lift stations. The one thing that this will do is this will put a new force main through city property away from the Cotton Belt Trail. And this will allow the city the ability to abandon the existing force main that is currently under the Cotton Belt Trail. There's been problems over the years with that line, and it will be abandoned upon completion of this project. That project is scheduled to go to bids in the next few months, with construction started fall of this year. And that'll be about a 9 to 12 month construction project. And I believe that is about all I had on the wastewater.
Okay, so for moving on to the next project, we will have Jim Reed with the City of Waco Street Department, the Street Division Manager. He will be covering Oak Road improvements.
Thank you, Cody. Good to be here. It's a pleasure to discuss the current status of Oak Road. It remains an important project vetted during the first year of the council's pavement management program in 2019. It was initially identified as a rehab project, sometimes referenced as mill and overlay when you hear about our different strategies. It was selected as a best value project by the city pavement team. Once into the project and reviewing the maintenance history of Oak Road and the geotechnical reports associated with the roadway section itself, it became clear that this street needed much more, as the street was experiencing widespread subgrade failure, thus creating a roadway cross-section that was very difficult to safely navigate at a reasonable speed, but more importantly at night. Looking back in time, Oak Road was annexed by the city from the county in 1998 and completely reconstructed by the City of Waco in 2003. When we completely restructure a road, that generally we want to look about a 20-year life cycle. So we're pretty much at that point. The street segment was reconstructed at the time in 2003 as a rural collector road that would utilize the entire cross section of the public right-of-way for either mobilization or drainage. The project in hand was we will reconstruct Oak Road from Princess Diana to Canyon Trail. That's approximately 5,000 linear feet. Reconstruction includes full depth excavation, stabilization of subgrade, and the placement of new roadway base with a final surface course. The goal of the project is to build the street segment so that it shall last at least 20 years. The project also includes a replacement of 3 cross drainage structures with like pipe sizes and safety end treatments. Many of the existing structures along Oak Road are blocked or crushed, so we shall be improving the structures from a corrugated metal pipe structure to a concrete pipe structure. No question, safety has been studied and evaluated by our project team along Oak Road. Oak Road is being widened from an existing varying width of 18 to 23 feet to a consistent width of 24 feet. Additionally, the sharp curves that are ongoing shall be widened from 24 feet to 30 feet to allow the larger vehicles to better maneuver through these curves. We've had a lot of questions through the life of the project about alternative mobility, and it was evaluated during the design process, but was not included in this effort for 2 distinct reasons. Number one, limited public right-of-way and the cost associated with land acquisition in the area. 2, the cost associated with alternative infrastructure improvements along a rural type road. Pedestrian and bike opportunities along Oak Road shall be further evaluated in the years coming. What we'll be doing is seeking for federal and state assistance through grants to do those type of improvements. This transportation project is currently estimated at about $1.3 million. Start date is proposed to be late fall 2020 with construction timeline about 7 months, meaning that the project will be completed during the summer of 2021. The slide before you is the limits of work along Oak Road. The west and east ends of the project have been addressed with recent mill and overlay efforts. The slide further indicates 3 locations of drainage improvements previously discussed. They're shown in a light blue or greenish tint. Last, I wanted to point out the installation of a small section of barrier fence that we've heard from the community that needed to be placed that shall be erected along Spinkleville Road at a structure and will be part of the project. It is highlighted in gold on the project map. In conclusion, no doubts, once complete, this project shall be a nice addition to this part of Waco. In addition, that takes into consideration the importance of contributing and constructing a quality road that can span decades into the future with timely general maintenance by our operations forces. That's a quick overview of the Oak Road project. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Jim. So if there are any comments or questions from the community about this project, please feel free to ask those now. We'll wait a couple minutes and then we'll move on to the next item.
I have one question, Cody. Jim, what did you say the yellow was again? The gold?
So when we constructed Spiegelville Road, that's a cross drainage structure that we did extend, but we believe there's some safety issues related to width of roadway that we're fearful that large vehicles such as a bus may have a problem getting around that structure with not impacting it. So we're looking at putting a barrier fence up there that if a bus gets tangled up with that area, it'll just basically reflect them back onto the roadway itself. So it's
Both sides of the road?
just one side. The other side, we had enough grade to get clear. We believe there's a recoverable area that the bus or any kind of vehicle won't have to impact the structure itself.
One other question, as you come down Oak, that first stretch, it's a pretty narrow road. We have to make that wider. We have all the right of way we need to support the
Yes, sir.
increasing the width.
Yes, sir. Based on the timing of the road when it was originally constructed, there's anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of material. So our engineers are looking at putting a new alignment. So it's complete reconstruction. So we'll be able to press that grade down or up based on the alignment to be able to keep the ditches in that we have in place. There will not be any roadway expansion that requires right-of-way acquisition with this project. Right-of-way acquisition, we do believe that if you wanted to put any kind of alternative features in for pedestrians or bikes, you would have to look at doing some right-of-way acquisition throughout the entire corridor.
Then my last question is obviously that hairpin kind of turn there, or is that going to be banked at all, or what are we going to do there?
We're still looking at that during our review process. On the plans, we're about 90% at this point, but we are making those corners wider and we are looking at the cross slope of those roads.
Thanks, Jim.
So that was one of the questions. How many feet is the corner is going to be widened? I think we're going from 24 to a 30 foot at our 90% design is where we're at now.
That's correct.
And then we received another question on Oak Road. When do we anticipate this work to begin?
So we will take it to our purchasing department and take bids in the fall. We believe it'll probably start maybe January and be pushing into the summer for completion. So our goal is to have the project complete during the summer of 2021.
We getting any other feedback on that one?
Yes. So what is the time frame for seeking federal grants for sidewalk or bike trails on Oak Road?
And that's always something that within Public Works and even the utility department, I just say the departments as a whole across the city, we're always chasing federal funds. So it's an ongoing process. I don't know that we ever stop. Oak Road was a consideration in the recent call for projects through TxDOT. It was not one that was selected, but it is one that has been identified so much through the public process that we believe it's an important project to that part of the community. So I'd say it's on our list. It's something that we know that needs to be done, especially with the school system there. We do see active walkers along the edge of pavement. We hate to see that for safety reasons. So it's a project that's been identified, and as funds come about, which is on a pretty routine basis, I say about yearly, we have opportunities. Of course, that is a competitive process, so you have to make sure that you have everything lined up. So it gives us plenty of time between now and the next call for projects, be it federal level or state level, that we can get our ducks in a row and be ready to chase that money and be competitive.
We'll take a couple more questions on Oak Road. How is the traffic going to be managed with the Oak Road project, as it being only one way in and out of certain subdivisions?
So that's a great question and challenging question. It's not an easy answer, but I will say this. Our goal is to keep the roadway open. It may be reduced down to one lane at times. It will be done in small phases. It does not have utility work included, but it will be done in small phases around intersecting roads. Our goal would be to keep one lane open and try to restore full two-way traffic at the end of the day, but there will be times we may have to put in temporary signals on each end of the work zone that allows people to stop and start, but access to homes will remain throughout the project.
And the last question we'll take on Oak Road is, what is the duration of the construction along Oak Road?
Oak Road is predicted to be a 7-month project. Of course, a lot of times that depends on weather, that we will be in the rainy season. So if you start a project in January and you try to finish up by the summer and you predict it to be 7 months, it has the potential to go a little bit longer than what we predict. But I think 7 months is a good target for that project, mainly because it has a lot of asphalt components in the project itself, and we have 3 of the biggest asphalt suppliers in the Waco area. I think they will chase this project hard and get it done quickly.
All right. So for any other questions, please, if you feel like your question wasn't answered or you need some more clarification, please reach out to our department and we'll get those questions to the right people and we'll get some answers. For now, we'll move on to the next project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. For the 2020 Trailblazer Park Improvement Project, we have Tom Balk with the Parks and Recreation Department.
Thanks, Cody. I am Tom Balk with the Parks Department. We are thrilled to be at the point we're at with the Trailblazer Park project. To offer a solid update from our January meeting, we came out and visited with the neighborhood association and received some tremendous feedback. Just to recap the basics though, Trailblazer Park, this is a park that was envisioned as the subdivision was being developed initially. And so through a great partnership between the developer and the city, a substantial amount of land was obtained, and then through grants and other funding, we were able to lay the foundation for what is currently functioning as a trailhead park. We've got a small trail loop. We also did some establishment of trees, trying to invest in the future date that this park would be developed further. And I think we're glad to be able to announce that, yeah, we are at that point now. So the project is designed by the MRB group, who we've worked with on a number of great park projects around the city. Project funding is $550,000. And today was the bid opening. And so while we're in the bid review phase still, and we can't say definitively who our contractor is, we received bids from very reputable firms from the local area. And so we are very pleased with the results. And to refamiliarize ourselves, and for those that don't know what the fundamental project scope is really digging in and establishing Trailblazer Park as a neighborhood park identity. It's done well to serve us as a trailhead, but for those that know, what it desperately needs are some creature comforts, some amenities that support the family lifestyle that has grown tremendously since the park was first put in. So a shaded playground with maximum accessibility, a shaded pavilion, of course, to accommodate picnics and rentals, and a drinking fountain. As fundamental, as basic as that sounds, that is a key improvement that everybody needs and looks forward to, as well as some additional lighting. So that's the fundamental core that aligns with our park development standards for all our neighborhood parks. A lot of the feedback that we were able to have a conversation through with the public meeting in January, we learned a lot about the specific amenity desires from the neighborhood as well, based on the usage of actual residents. So as we continue through the bid analysis process, we'll be able to determine if there are additional amenities that we can leverage into the project based on that feedback. So again, to kind of focus in on what our schedule is going forward, we've received bids today, and if everything goes well with the bid analysis, we should be able to take that to council with a recommendation on July 7th, which would typically allow us to get started with some construction in the month of August and continue through completion by January 2020. We anticipate a winter opening of the improvements that have been much anticipated for some time. And again, there's some graphics here that remind us of the architectural character of the site. And we definitely have taken that into consideration with the new pavilion that's proposed. That's it.
Okay, so if you have any questions regarding this project, please submit them, and we'll start working through some of these questions. So the first question we have, will Trailblazer Park get a restroom?
Trailblazer Park is not selected for a restroom at this time. One of the things, this was a high priority of study based on feedback we've taken from council and management. And so what I can say is that while the initial project funding doesn't include that scope of work, the construction activity taking place with this project will set the stage to facilitate future addition of a restroom if possible. So that means we're putting in the sanitary sewer infrastructure, we're putting in the water supply infrastructure, and in fact, we're even developing the building pad for the area that a restroom could go. So that is one thing that we're trying to do to maximize the value of the work that we're doing right now.
Okay, I'll just, this is Holmes here too, just to comment on that. City of Waco Parks and Rec dollars are it's very competitive from district to district. So we did get some money allocated for this for kind of a phase one to get some, basic park equipment in there and some playground equipment. But the analysis of having the restroom facility is kind of a completely different deal and expensive too, as I understand, 250 to 300,000 typically.
Yes,
for
yes.
a restroom facility. And so for the first phase anyway, I think we've got the right kind of layout for the park equipment.
Yes, and the infrastructure, again, that we're laying now significantly reduces the incremental impact of bringing in a restroom later. So we wouldn't expect it to hit that $250,000 mark to come back and do a restroom, but this is a good opportunity to lay some of that foundation now.
So this one is not related to Trailblazer, but are there any plans in the near or distant future for expanding the Cotton Belt Trail towards Stone Creek and the Trails of Oak Ridge?
That is a conversation that goes on from a conceptual and planning perspective with regularity, I would say. We have frequent conversations with the Metropolitan Planning Organization. There's been a considerable amount of informal master planning that to highlight the need for a coordinated trail plan. And that corridor always comes up. So it's not forgotten. It is definitely identified as an area of potential growth.
And let's see if we have any more. We have one more question. If anybody has any additional questions, please submit those now. But will this project be impacted later with the sewer line work in the area?
There will be some close correlation of work zone at a couple key points. The Harris Creek work will definitely be in our vicinity, as well as the sewer line replacement. But I believe we will be able to be out of the way with our construction in time to not impede that project. And our hope is to be able to coordinate closely with among contractors to maximize what is available to the public.
Okay.
Can I ask one, Cody?
Yes.
Tom,
Yeah.
that previous slide, that rendering of the playground equipment, is that kind of what you have in mind, or is there opportunity for public feedback on what that might look like, or is that what we're going for? How's that process work?
So we looked at a concept during the January meeting, and this is kind of a subsequent concept to that. What we showed in the January meeting responded to some requests about a train theme, and what the train theme ended up costing over and above our most recent playground model that we put it at Kendrick Park was another $65,000. And so what this model represents is this kind of has become our core essential playground, very consistent with what we recently installed to great success at Kendrick Park. And so there's room for a little bit of discussion and feedback there, but we will have to have some fast conversations, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
Just along those lines too, there was some dialogue real early on about some neighborhood matching of dollars, or maybe bumping the project up with the independent funding source. If there was a time and a place for that, would that be after we look at it, the council looks at it in July? Would there still be an opportunity for that, or?
I think from this point forward, like even after the council award, I think this is the time to have those conversations. So correct me if I'm wrong, Bradley, but. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We will move on to the next project. Thank you, Tom. For the next project, we have the US 84 Speegleville Overpass update. If you're here, we have Clayton Zonka, the area engineer for the Waco District with TxDOT, and he is on with us remotely.
Hey, Cody. Yeah, I appreciate that. As Cody mentioned, I'm Clayton Zaka, the McLennan County area engineer for TxDOT. I just wanted to provide a brief update on our 84 project. Again, this was a $28.5 million project that upgraded 84 to a freeway section from Harris Creek to the Bosque River. We broke ground back April of 2018. I'm sure, as most are aware, we switched traffic to the new bridge last week. That's made a great improvement to both 84 and Speegleville Road traffic. Contractor has some remaining striping work and frontage road and intersection work to complete. Our hope is that the project is wrapped up, hopefully late part of June, early part of July, and then we're out of there. Cody, with that, that's really all I have for a construction update. Here's a couple pictures of the completed overpass. Next slide, we've got a picture of the intersection. You can see we'll have 2 turn lanes, a through lane for each direction of the intersection, along with the new turnarounds to help improve with congestion and mobility through the intersection. And with that, that's really all I've got. Again, we're close to wrapping up. It's been a pretty successful project in our opinion.
Thank you, Clayton. So we do have a couple of questions. Nathan, did you have?
How did you word that, Bradley? The timing of the signals at the intersection. Clayton, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So those are not complete yet. When we're done, it'll actually be on a detection system. Right now, it's basically running on time. It's a timer. So again, as the guts of the signal are completed, you should see improvements with the timing in the intersection.
When did you think that might come online, the detection?
Again, hopefully by end of this month, early part of July, it should be done by the time we're out of there.
One other question was about Bosque Lane, coming off Bosque Lane and going towards, trying to go, was it east, back towards downtown? How are people going to get that way?
So if you want to head east from Bosque Lane, yeah. So part of the upgrade to a freeway section, what happens is the medians that were on 84 end up being removed as part of the project. So what we've done is actually built a future stub out for the eastbound frontage road. So from Bosque Lane, you'll be able to turn right onto the new frontage road. That'll take you directly to the Sun Valley crossing, and you'll be able to use the existing median that's there. Sun West.
If you have any additional questions about the Speedville project, please submit those now. But Clayton, there is one more comment that I want to express how great the new Highway 84 is, and thank you.
Appreciate that, Cody.
Cody, we have one question.
Okay.
What is planned for the middle section of the intersection? You can see the lack of pavement. What's planned for that?
There will be a raised concrete median there. It's just a little narrow concrete median with back-to-back curb, basically.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we will move on. So this is the last project that we're updating for this meeting. I'd like to thank you for your participation in the West 84 neighborhood meeting. If you have any further questions or comments, or if you want some more clarification, please reach out to Teresa Bryant. Our email is here. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, on our main City of Waco page, and at betterstreetswaco.com. If you would like to get a link to this meeting or recording of this meeting, or if you have a neighbor that did not have an opportunity to view this meeting, we will post a link of the meeting on our Facebook page, on our main City of Waco page, and at betterstreetswaco.com. Those should be up as early as tomorrow. Okay. So from there, that's all we have. I'd like to get a few thank yous out there to a few of the departments, the IT department for putting this on. This is the first time we've used this format for a virtual public meeting, and it went really well. There's a lot of work put into it. The utility department for their project update, the parks department, the public work department, and then especially a thank you to Teresa Bryant for setting all this up and making this work. So for that, that's all we have. Thank you, and we'll see you down the road.